This part of my trip report is going to just be some of the basics, the preliminaries to starting your trip. We'll get on to the trip report, part 1 and 2, in the next segments. First of all, plan at least 4 to 6 months prior to your departure. We put our trip to the Black Hills, from the Twin Cities to the Black Hills, in 2.5 months. And that was very stressful. We started out stressful in doing that. I would recommend you take a lot longer. Make calls, look online, Google, everything's available to you. Your best resources are the people that have gone on this trip ahead of you, even if they have taken different means. For example, they may have flown versus RVing or just car driving. But in any case, talk to people as much as you can. Do as much research. Gather up the brochures, which I'll be showing you here in a minute, the ones we used. It really is very, very helpful to know as much about your trip and your destination as you can before you leave home. I contacted the South Dakota Department of Tourism, being as we were going to the Black Hills. This is the one we used, and they couldn't have been nicer. This little booklet was my good friend. It's very well worn. This is all the campground. This is a campground guide, all the campgrounds, or at least most of them, some AAA and some Good Sam rated. So they went by the segments, the east, the central, and the western region of the state, so that we could work our way across that state. And it really helped me tremendously. What I did notice is that some of the things that were not in here were in the AAA book. This is from AAA. And I used this, I literally would sit and go back and forth and look and see, did they have water, did they have sewage, what amenities did they have? Was there, of course, an electrical hookup, which most of them have. I'm speaking of RVing right now, since that's what we did. It was a lot of work to find out the information I needed, but between the two of these, I did. KOA camps are nice, but be aware they are much more costly. Okay, AAA really is worth its weight in gold. They will also put together a triptych for you. It'll say prepared expressly for, and then they'll put your name in here. They will map out, they will send you a map with a nice big thick marker where you're supposed to go. They will indicate what is under construction at the time. And we called again 2 weeks right prior to departure to see if that construction had been cleared up, or if there was even any more that we had to be aware of. They mark your destinations for you in blue, and in our case, the big thick marker in green was the actual highways and such. Very, very helpful. When we got to Rapid City, this was the map of the day. Everywhere you went, there was a map like this, and it was extremely helpful as well. We found ourselves acclimating quickly to it. The ambiance is beautiful. It's very curvy out there. There's a 7,000 plus foot elevation that you're dealing with. And we were up and down that almost every day. So be aware that things take time. Plan extra days around your trip. In our case, we took an RV for the first time, and we do have a YouTube video that is probably, I haven't cut it yet, but we'll probably entitle it First Time RV Tips or something of that nature. Look for it, you'll see it on there. We made enough mistakes to share with you so that hopefully you don't make the same ones. When you get home and the dust settles, all you can do is laugh and count your losses, and hopefully you've had a good time despite that. But really, back to AAA, very, very helpful. They will send you everything that you need, and they are very invested in your travels. There's also a little brochure which I forgot to bring, but it's something like this one that AAA sends. It's thicker, that talks in detail about all of their services. Take time to read that and highlight and make sure that you know exactly what you have available to you via your little AAA brochure. Sometimes you might have a need for something that you don't even know you have available to you for free. Decide what you want to do and when you want to get there as a family. Everybody should be generally on the same page. Our family had talked about this trip. Actually, again, as I said, we're coming from the Twin Cities, going out towards the Black Hills, to the Black Hills. We initially wanted to go to Yellowstone in Wyoming and see the Grand Tetons. Our budget didn't allow for that, so that's what brought us to the Badlands. Well, the Badlands and the Black Hills. But our trip was initially going to be much bigger than it turned out to be. Personally, we're very thankful that it wasn't, because it took all that it did just to get us to the Black Hills in terms of the 2.5 months that we did have. But take your time planning, decide as a family what you want to do. Make sure you're in general agreement. There's always going to be a few of you who are a little more excited than the other. Try to split that out, all the work that it takes. My daughter took the RVs. She studied that out. After a while, I realized we were asking the same questions to all the people that we called, which we found online through our computer. So I just made up a form, and we just used one form per company or per private party. I took pretty much everything else, and my husband handled his portion as well. I think that we all did a good job. There was three of us, us three adults, and we all did a real good job doing our part so that one wasn't left with the heavier burden. Everybody has a life to live, and you're fitting this trip in between everything else you do, so it's important to share the load. And again, book in for traffic, winding roads, animals in the road, lots of that. You might have animals in the road. I can't stress enough the value of going in the off-season. We went the day after Labor Day. Labor Day is the cutoff at the end of the season. Memorial Day is no doubt the beginning of the season, although some states and areas vary and differ with that. The prices dropped dramatically. Our RV rental was almost half price because of that. The tourism is far less. Places that I had seen many times, pictures and video clips, being back to back, just bumper to bumper, hour waiting in the hot sun. It's very hot out there in the West in the summer, much hotter than it is in the Twin Cities. We just had the whole area to ourselves, drove right through, in and out, Bear Country, USA, the highways and such. We really never struggled whatsoever with that. Do study, though, to take a look at what roads do not accommodate RVs if you are driving one. Some of the roads, such as Needles Highway and Iron Mountain Road, and even Highway 87, which we became very good friends with, taking that so often, they've been blasted out, but they have cave tunnels that go right over the top of the highway, and it's fine for a car or an SUV or even a truck. But an RV wouldn't, most RVs would not fit through those. And you'd sure hate to have to stop traffic, figure out a way to turn around, and then go maybe another hour in the other direction. So be aware of that Iron Mountain Road, Needles Highway, and Highway 87 do not accommodate RVs. The only thing that I was surprised that was missing out there were signs indicating that. I don't think we ever saw signs on the beginnings or endings of those roads that indicated that there were no RV access, or just to go slow. There's a lot of hairpin turns. It's very windy in some of the areas, not all of them. Some of them are nice and smooth sailing. So, excuse my glancing at my notes, but really try to have a campfire and relax. That's one thing we didn't get to do. Our trip was very rushed. We had a lot to see and a very short time to see it in. So try to book those couple of extra days. Enjoy your campfire rings that you'll have at your campsite at night. Get to meet the other campers. They're very friendly people. Talk to the rangers. Ask for help. You're not out there alone. People will loan you their hoses. They'll give you tips of things that you didn't know. We learned a lot. After all the research we did here, we learned a lot from the people that we met out there. Good success to you, and have fun.